You're listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.
Rene.
Outstanding, yes, sir.
What's going on, brother?
How you doing?
It's good to see you again, man.
Glad to be back.
You got some big news.
Oh, yes. A big event coming up, about 19 days out. So looking forward to it, getting close to the wire.
What's the name of your event?
So, Battle at the Alamo City.
Okay.
San Antonio's first Strength Sports Expo. So this hasn't been done before. You know, we've had some sports organization things going around San Antonio, but this is a little bit different. A little bit outside of your typical UIL sports, you know,
Okay.
Powerlifting, Strongman, arm wrestling, things that people don't particularly find themselves getting into until later on in life. They're like, holy cow, I can do this. And some of the strongest people in the world or in the nation are, you know, right here in San Antonio.
Yeah. So what kind of what's the date? It's October 8th,
So
right?
October 8th, we start about 9 o'clock. It'll run
Okay.
at 9 p.m. We got 5 sports going on. This will be held at Mission Conception Sports Complex. It's south downtown, or maybe about 5 miles south of 90 off of Theo.
Okay.
So easy to get to, huge complex, plenty of parking. We'll have food vendors, local vendors. We'll have military recruiters, law enforcement recruiters, family type of events for kids. You know, pretty much what I wanted to call a sports fiesta.
Yeah.
You know, we celebrate everything else. You know, food, alcohol, music, and this is just kind of the celebration of the spirit of competition.
Okay.
You know, kind of showing people, visually bringing people, and actually having people meet these people that are on our videos, or are breaking records, or, you know, doing everything that you see on the internet, on Instagram or whatever. Now I'll be able to show the local athletes that are here that, you know, we're always traveling. We're always going to Austin. We're always going to Corpus. We're always going to Houston or Dallas. And now this is we have the opportunity for San Antonio to be on the map on the Strength Expo world.
Man, that's pretty cool. So what are the events again? You just said them, but say them a little slower because I'm a little slow.
Yeah, sorry, I'll speak too fast too as well.
No, I just think slow.
So we have powerlifting. Well, kind of take a step back. The athletes are, of course, going to be local, and the host of these sports or of these competitions are also going to be local. So a lot of the top tier training facilities, which is awesome because I get to finally bring them into one location after, you know, meeting their communities that they have built. And I'll kind of talk about them real quickly, you know, as we go on. But we have powerlifting from Texas Strength Systems. Texas Strength Systems have been around for a while in San Antonio, you know, from Wes Sunker, who has coached UTSA powerlifting, coached high school powerlifting, runs the equipment and everything, the judging for Texas high school powerlifting, or at least helping out with all of that. And he does the USAPL meets here in San Antonio, or throughout all of Texas. Then he's got phenomenal athletes. He's built a phenomenal community of helping to grow the sport. You know, is that community of kids that he has built, and those kids that train other kids. That's kind of what you want to see in all of these sports. You know, what we look for is that growth. The people that are hungry are also teaching it. And then you got that's our powerlifting part of it. So
for the novice, the powerlifting portion, are y'all doing the 3 lifts?
Yes, we are doing the 3 lifts, and this is a little bit different.
Those are squat, bench, and
deadlift.
Okay.
And with this particular powerlifting meet, it's called the Rookie Rumble. So more often you would see in a sports expo that the invitation, it's the bigger guys that are coming out. Like, you would have to qualify to get into a lot of these expos, or, you know, it's the audience that's going to be there. So,
gotcha.
You know, your experienced lifters, you know, I'm trying to get to the bigger expos like the Arnold.
Right.
And, I'm trying to get into those, and you have to qualify. So what Wes decided to do, and I love the idea, because this is a local meet, it's a Rookie Rumble. So people that haven't competed, this is their very first competition, or missed maybe bombed out of a meet before. This is an opportunity now to compete in front of your friends and family locally.
That's cool.
A lot of the time these meets are far away, and if you're starting off as a lifter, nobody ever comes to see you.
Yeah.
I don't think any of my friends have ever come to see me, So to have that locally for a lot of these,
kind of like having a buddy invite you to their kids' t-ball game. You're like,
But now to have that opportunity, to give that opportunity, and to have somebody like Wes Unker to understand that and use this platform to be like, hey, let's give these rookies something to get them hungry for this sport.
Yeah. I'd imagine it's a good opportunity for somebody who's maybe even just kind of kicked it around in their head. Hey, I'd like to try this out, or I've been lifting for a while, and I'd like to see where I'm at, even just kind of on a maybe an entry level kind of thing. So that's cool.
And that was that's one of the goals too. Is there's plenty of people throughout the years that I've talked to. They're like, hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want to do this. I've seen that. I see you guys train this way. I've always wanted to do it. This is that push. This is the opportunity to come see the people that are actually doing it are not. Yeah. They're not Superman. They're your moms, your dads, your doctors, your police officers, your teachers, your students, and the kids that aren't playing football and other sports. Some of those kids will find themselves in a powerlifting and do phenomenal.
Yeah.
So this is the opportunity to actually see that and witness it, not just on video. Yeah. Talk to that person and see that, hey, they're the same body type as me. They're the same height as me. They look like I think, like you said earlier, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
But you have to see it for yourself, not just on the phone. To me, that's just a completely different way to drive yourself. And then talking about the other sports that we have, in addition to another top tier training facility is our Strongman event is done by Heavy Metal Fitness.
Okay.
And Heavy Metal Fitness is putting out pro strongman and is putting out world and national level powerlifters, and just another great place of what Tim and Michelle have built in their community and how their athletes support each other. And I think 30 of the athletes in their event are from heavy metal.
Wow.
So that just goes to show you the kind of support that you have members giving to the gym owners,
yeah.
and, to the host of that. So that I cannot in any other way explain how important that is, but other than to show you, like, this is a community that they have built, and if you're looking for it, hey, come check this community out, or come check out any of these communities, because these people, what they're doing is they're continuing to move forward, and they're feeding off of each other, and they're supporting each other. And we're not family, we're not all related. This is just being on one team in one direction. Holy cow, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
I got to experience that in the military. So now being able to try to help guide people to these type of communities, and to get that feeling that I got, that feeling of armor that you have when everybody's on your page and you feel like everybody's got your back and you can accomplish anything. That's what these communities feel like to me. It's
amazing to see not just heavy metal, but I've discovered other folks through social media, and you use the word community, and that's exactly what it is. It's so interesting to see this camaraderie between different gyms and different athletes, and the, like you said, there are all kinds of different body types and shapes and just personalities that get involved, but they have that commonality of being driven and wanting to attempt to push themselves, through these sports. And that's the connecting tissue there. That's very interesting. And just like most other things, regardless of what it is, when there's some suffering there, there's a bond that gets built. And man, it's pretty cool to see, man. I really dig it. So on the strongman stuff, what events are they going to have exactly?
Oh, you would ask me that. Off the top of my head, I would have to open that up.
Okay.
There's.
Well,
I get
just
asked
so
the
people
questions.
know, I guess they're still tweaking that, but just so people know, that's similar to the kind of stuff you can see on TV, on ESPN Sports when they have the strongman competitions. It's events similar to that.
And Tim did the same thing. This is all of these events it's meant for the community. This is a community building type of event. That's where we are going to be different from everybody else that has these type of competitions. The whole point of this is to not only or I don't want to say the whole point. The goals are not only to showcase the athletes, not only to showcase these top tier training facilities, but to give the other sports the opportunity, because all of the parents that compete in these sports have kids that play some type of sports.
Mm-hmm.
I compete and my kids play football, volleyball, whatever they can get into. So this is also that opportunity to have to where, is there a camp out there for volleyball? We'll have representation there. Is there other football leagues or soccer leagues or whatever? There's so many opportunities for kids to play sports that I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's just this is just one of those opportunities to show everybody, the athletes, show the people that have the communities that are doing these things, and then let everybody else know that, hey, there's these people that do these sports. There's everybody. They're all kind of tied together. These communities are tied together. It's not so. I want to say that these sports translate to each other in one way or another. And it's just through competition. That's all we're trying to do, is give somebody whatever shoe fits you, just getting into the competition and showing that, hey, we have all these UIL sports when you're in high school, and then I kind of want to go over that as well. Mm-hmm. Throughout middle school and high school, and then when that's done, hey, this is what the other thing that we have. Or in between the season that your kids don't play any other sports, these are the other sports that they can kind of get into. That adds to their UIL sport.
So I guess I don't know the exact definition of expo, but it sounds to me like this isn't just an event to come and be entertained. It's an opportunity to come and learn about other sports and athletic events that you didn't know about, and give you get exposed to it, and get an opportunity to meet people, and maybe at some point put your kid in something, or maybe you yourself get involved in it if you're not going to participate in it, on the 8th. So
and that's it as well. There's a couple of nonprofits that do these type of things, that have the funding for these sports, or host these type of sports, or if you're an athlete that fits into their organization, that you get that there as well. There's representation of sports recovery, sports equipment. This is everything sports, not only to give you a tool to deal with what we're trying to, to help you deal with, but to give you the support for it, and to show you the businesses that support that, and to show you the community that really is out here, that you don't have to go looking for it. It's already here. There's no need to waste any time looking for something. This is everything that people that have this kind of common mindset. It's all in one place.
It's in San Antonio.
Yeah, in San Antonio, right. That's here cool. In front of you and under your nose.
So what are some of the other ones?
The other sports, and one of this one was kind of the first sport that I reached out to, was Battle of the Badges. Rob Guzman and Autumn run a gym called Revival 365, and again, another great community and another great two coaches, and his other coaches that he has there. They do everything. They do powerlifting. They do every event that I go to. I see them as a coach with their athletes. That's supporting cool. It or learning it. I see them in the same, certifications that I go through. So you get to meet other people that are trying to do the same thing that you are, just in a different, just through a different avenue and through a different sport, using their sport as a vehicle to reach people, which is which is awesome because what Rob developed is this military, now including military, but first responder type of competition. You know,
okay.
they don each other's gear, they go through job-related events. You know, we'll have some like door breaching stuff. Some
Really, that sounds cool, man.
Yeah, so this is the first of its, or the only competition that is like this, and this is on their 5th year. You know, I think they paused for about a year or two because of COVID, but I did one when I was selling powerlifting gear back in the day. I did his first or second one, and I love the idea. I love the idea of are people or men and women in uniform that are continuing to put themselves in that kind of danger, to give them a competition, to give them hey, are you ready right now? Can you do, you know, are you as the big dog that you walk around, you know, can you do their job? Can you, because as an athlete, that's what I do. Yeah. That's the people that these gyms, it's not just a powerlifting gym or a strongman gym or a CrossFit gym. These are strength training facilities. The goal is to get better at your sport, and they understand that you can train in whatever way, but as long as it's for you and it helps you, then that's it. You know, we're these coaches and these business owners and these training facilities seem to all have that mindset. You know, let's just grow. It doesn't matter how. Let's get you the equipment. Let's try it out, and then let's grow together. And that's the kind of, you know, what we see how Rob is trying to bring with the law enforcement and the military competition. You know, the Battle of the Badges. He's saying, are you ready? You know, are you ready for the Uvalde? Are you ready for the next 9/11? Are you really ready? You know, I think
that's kind of critical, you know, especially when you think about it. It's nice to be able, I would imagine if I was a first responder, you know, you train, and like most things you train and you feel good, but it isn't until you're competitive with somebody else that you actually see where you're at. You know, you may be the strongest guy in your garage, you know, but, you know, once you start getting in front of other people, it really gives you an opportunity to see where you're at. And for a first responder, that's huge because, you know, you've got people that compete in all kinds of sports and athletics and strength training kind of things, and they do as well. But at the end of the day, they need that ability to do those things to save lives, you know, and so that's pretty crucial. So that'd be interesting to watch.
You see it all the time in the military. The military holds you accountable to being in shape. I'm not saying that everybody in the military is in shape, sure, but there is a standard. Yeah. You know, and it's pushing that standard, and for us, just because of the situation that we're in the military, or I was in the military, is that they're gonna do that. They have the opportunity to do that every day. It's part of the day. But you know, in a lot of in the civilian world, we don't require police officers or firefighters to do PT in the morning. We don't kind of force them. Yeah. But it's not even necessarily forcing for just to keep people busy, but to keep them ready. Yeah. You know, the longevity of our first responders and our military. The Air Force, man, I have a buddy, I don't want to go too off, but they're doing wonderful things, and to see how they're doing and their approach to it, and, you know, it's here at Lackland, and it's pretty amazing. And kind of, if you understand military and first responders, if you think of them as athletes, mm-hmm, and they treat themselves as athletes and they work out like athletes, guess what? You're always ready. And then you think of the longevity of you as in being in that job. I have a couple of neighbors, and I love, you know, I don't know if he'll ever watch this or if he follows me or anything, but I see him working out.
We'll make him watch it.
He's an older sheriff guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I see him running with like a vest on, and I'm like, yes, that's it. He's constantly challenging himself. He's always ready. And sometimes we forget to do that until it's too late.
You're talking a big fat guy,
no,
Rene. So I know what you're talking about. You want to hear something funny? Is like, we talk about being ready, and we talk about first responders, and it's funny because there's times where I find myself someplace, and good example. Yesterday we went to go pick up my mom some dinner. Dad's been in the hospital, so we went to go grab her some food and take it to her. So we found a Subway there in Corpus, and so my wife runs in, and so we're sitting there, and there's a creepy guy that goes in there, and she comes out, everything's fine, we ended up leaving. But there's especially as a guy, I'll say it as a guy because I'm a guy, you sit there and you go, man, what if I had to control that guy? What if I had to get, my wife or somebody away from this guy? You start to wonder, am I physically capable of it? I'd like to think that I am, right. But at the end of the day, am I?
Right.
And so those kinds of things always go through people's head. And for me, I'm finding myself going, I used to be able to do everything. Now I'm getting older, I'm getting slower, everything hurts. And it's kind of like, where am I at and where should I be? So you start reevaluating yourself. So these kinds of expos give you an opportunity to see what's out there for people that say, you know what, I need to turn my ass around. I need to quit doing what I've been doing, and I need to redirect my efforts and get healthier and be more active. That way, if I need to just get away from somebody, I'm capable of it. The world's crazy, man.
And saying that and kind of going back to what I initially said, and having people have the opportunity to see somebody in their similar body type and stuff, and not knocking on our big strong guys at the gym. They're all bigger guys, and when you're a bigger guy and you have all these power lifters and everybody's doing this other stuff, where do you fit in? And that's it.
Yeah.
You're a big guy, you're a lineman, you have this size. Guess what? That's something that none of these other athletes are ever going to be able to build to is the size and your base that you already were born with. Now you're able to see, hey, look, this guy doing the heavyweight strongman, guess what? It takes mass to move mass. And as they get into it and as they start their training, the weight just shreds off.
Yeah.
It shreds off because what you're requiring your body to do, and the movements, and with the implements and the weight of the implements, you're burning calories just as much as anybody else, but you're doing it for you. You're doing it for your body type and your frame, and just through a different sport. And that's the other part of this is, like, a lot of these guys that are competing at this level are just not, they start off as everyday people.
Sure.
And then now that they found themselves this opportunity to be in these places and train around these people, and then they see their successes, you're seeing, like Austin, get his pro card, like Jackie, and I'm pretty sure Nick, and soon to follow everybody else, that are training around each other because they walked in the door, that cliche, or that meme or whatever that you hear, that's it. They walked through the door and they were able to visually see somebody similar to them accomplish the things that, hey, maybe I can do this. And, like you said it before, it takes actually talking to that person and then realizing they went through struggles just like you are, or you perceive that your struggles or how high these walls are, they're going through it. And that's this opportunity as well. Be able to show you those people, be able to show you that these are everyday people. There's the only thing different is they walked through that door and they stuck with it.
What's interesting is I've had a chance to do a podcast with Austin. I've had a chance to do one with Nick. And one thing that was super cool was Austin has always had a background of pushing and pulling, right? Football, weightlifting, throwing. And then Nick was a tall, skinny parkour kid, and it was shocking to me to hear him say, I've put on all this mass and gotten this strength like in 3 years. Now, there's some nice genetics happening there, but at the same time, it was like he was a tall, skinny kid, that loved to run around and climb things, but he was active, he was athletic. But when he decided he wanted to do strongman, it didn't take hardly any time for his body to adapt to it. And I think that's what's interesting is you know, advice coming from an out of shape guy, but your body wants that, you know. And whenever I start doing my kettlebells again, I start working out at the house. It's so funny because like I have so much joint pain,
right?
And in a matter of 2 weeks, 3 weeks of just doing regular kettlebells, something every day, some band work, I'd laugh at it because it's so stupid, man. Because it's like, man, I feel great. It doesn't hurt anymore. And then, you know, you take your breaks or whatever. But, you know, the consistency is the important part. But yeah, it's like these guys are, Nick, for example, you know, he wasn't that big. He wasn't that powerful. It was literally, like you said, I think 2019, I think he started. He went to Tim's. And it just turned on, man.
That's what, you know, that enjoyment, one, watching it, being able to help support them and any of these athletes in whatever way that we can, or anybody can, you know, you're a part of the community. And then just to see them grow, you know, that feeling is kind of what I want to be able to give everybody else to have. Give you the feeling, give somebody else a feeling like, oh man, like I can really be a part of this. I can be the guy right next to him. I can be the guy under him, and that could be me in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But you really have to be there to feel it, you know. And Ranger Rob, you know, is starting to grow into it now, and you see him post things all the time, you know, how he's kind of found it, you know, and Rob being another veteran that was an early medical retirement.
Hey,
like
Rob's
me.
thick, man.
Oh, hey, and that's it, you know, he found it.
Yeah.
And kind of that's where for us as veterans, this is my opportunity to give that. Or give people the opportunity to find that for themselves is, hey, look, somebody like Ranger Rob is doing this in Strongman, and I have another guy that I'm coaching, Corey or Robbie Correjo. He's doing this in the military, and he's using powerlifting, or he's using, not in the military, but using powerlifting as his vehicle to reach people. And, you know, there's just people in all of these different sports and associated to these training facilities that are found their sport for them, and this is how they're dealing with whatever issues that they're going through. And then I kind of want to go over that as we finish this. And I don't want to go into too much, but that's it. Yeah. Not just, it's not just a video. It's not just doing, and not to knock on anything that everybody that does this. It's not just 22 push-ups a day. You know, this is a tool. You know, these sports make you stronger, and that strength, one, does something for you physically, but then the psychology that goes into what it takes to competing in these sports at the level that these guys are competing. And that's all the mental strength and the mental training that you go into that maybe we don't have without these sports.
Yeah.
You know, so just that part of it, oh man, and again, like I said, I'll go into it because I'm gonna get too excited about that, you know. But not to forget about the other sports. We have Hero Sports, which is one of our the receptors of or the recipients, excuse me, of our money that we're going to be raising. Hero Sports is hosting a kickball tournament and a cornhole tournament. They're a military nonprofit. Who Mike Barker, again, somebody else that I respect deeply, and the community that he's built and his nonprofit that he's built, and what he's done, like that's the type of person and his community that I want to emulate. You know, it is how it's grown. And he was at the W2, if I say acronyms, I'm sorry, the Warrior Transition Unit, you know, where they send all the wounded and ill here in Fort Sam, or there's, you know, different bases, but that's what the units are called at each base, now called W2Bs, or I don't know what they're now. Well, anyways, he was there as a therapist, so, you know, him understanding the needs of veterans and those gaps and trying to fill it, and using what he knows, sports, and at that time, baseball. You know, he was paying for a pro baseball team with his own money, you know, wounded guys, and, you know, that what it does for those guys, you know, is one thing, and then the other thing is that he's showing other veterans that are wounded, hey, you can do this. So his reach was insane. And now,
that's cool.
Now, you know, he runs one of the bigger military sports nonprofits. You know, you'll find his stuff in.
And what's that one called?
Hero Sports.
Hero Sports.
They use hunting and sports as
Okay.
a way of, like I said, dealing with whatever you're trying to deal with in life. But then he's also helping out, you know, in everything. If you follow them on Facebook or Instagram, Mike Barker and his guys at Hero Sports, they're doing a lot. You know,
That's awesome.
there's it would be a whole nother podcast just for him. And then we also have Paradise City gym that's hosting a push-pull competition. So that's kind of open to everybody. These other sports, like powerlifting, strongman, are federation. Like you have to buy a federation membership, and then you have to pay for the competition. So this push-pull is not. It's open to everybody. You know, somebody that wants to push-pull is bench press and deadlift.
Okay.
So make that clear. Yeah.
So the novice.
Yeah, to the novice. So if you got a big deadlift and you got a big bench, you know, this might be one of those competitions. You're out there, you want to see, hey, maybe I want to get into these sports, but I don't want to buy a membership right now.
Sure.
Perfect opportunity. Everybody likes to talk about their bench, and everybody likes doing a video about their deadlift. So come on, let's go, you know, come test it out. You know,
So is that something where it's a walk up and try it out, or do they need to?
You can register
everybody needs to
for
register?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll register, and I think they're doing it all the way up until the day of.
Okay.
Like they're going to start later on. In the day, so that we have some competitions that are staggered, and that the people that are coaching and handling is like, you know, helping the athlete, you know, be on time for whatever their event is, and kind of giving them water and snacks.
Sure.
And whatever. So gives those handlers, who are majority of the time athletes themselves, an opportunity to, hey, let me win a prize, or let me win some money at these competitions. And as far as comps go, that's it. We'll also have representation for the Texas Arm Wrestling League.
Okay.
Dustin and Bill, these guys, you want to talk about people that grow sports, and then people that are just the community that I found. I just showed up at a practice one day and I was like, holy cow, people don't know about this. Like this is not a secret that, you know, that should be kept. These guys are trying to grow the sport. They're trying to get people to do it the right way. And, you know, I know people are like, oh, you know, over the top.
Yeah.
Whatever. These guys are a different breed of athletes, and I find them, and just going back to identifying that if you're an athlete and if you can try these different sports, and if you're willing to learn from them, whatever it is, then you can see the carryover. If you have that mindset of I want to be this ultimate athlete. I have seen weaknesses in myself training with these guys, and I've seen how I think I can help improve some people or myself as becoming an arm wrestler. So that's how I got into it.
That's cool.
But for me to be able to bring people to it is awesome, because these guys, like I'm glad I'm associated with them. You know, they're positive. They're about growing the sport. There's this community is super welcoming, and now they're finding themselves. I love the hustle because they're finding themselves at all the training facilities.
I was just fixing to say, because I want to say they showed up at Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
And then I saw them at Tiffany Richards' place, Lone Star. Mm-hmm. And then I saw them they've been popping up all over my Instagram. Different people have been showcasing them, and I think they had an event on the west side or something.
Oh, you want to talk about their social media presence, their video presence. Like I kind of envy that.
That's cool.
You know, he does. Bill is just small world. Happens to work a friend of mine that's married to a friend of mine from high school. Just a friend of the family's, and they work together. I don't want to say where they work at, but
yeah,
you know, they work together. And then I know he does his job there, and I know he's busy there. And then what he puts out, you know, his content, I'm like, oh man, he helped me out with my flyer.
Yeah.
So just that hustle to see them in these places, and for the reason of growing the sport, that's it. You know, they're trying to grow the sport. They're trying to teach the sport the right way. They're trying to get exposure to the athletes that are learning the right way, and you know, that are growing the way that it should be, not just like, hey, I'm gonna pop up here. I watched all these videos and let me get in there. No, because then those athletes die out or they get an injury and there's no longevity in it. And then these guys they're teaching you from the basics, and they're making, again, monsters, and they're turning these powerlifting gyms and finding these athletes into monsters.
That's cool.
You know, which is that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be able to have them involved in it and be able to have people give them the opportunity to meet these people as well and get that feeling that I have. We also have some representation from some other kind of exhibits of other sports in the inside, the main area. And kind of just talking about that, we have like 3 areas. We have an outside field area with the 2 big events and vendors in the middle. So it'll be like Battle of the Badges on one side of the football field and Strongman in the middle, or the other side of the football field with vendors in the middle. The whole, have you seen the conception?
I looked it up online. Yeah.
So then there's a big building.
There's a big building.
Yeah.
There's like you said, a football field, big building, and there's some baseball fields too out there.
And so those are the 3 locations.
Okay.
And the other inside will have powerlifting, the push-pull event, the exhibitors, some inside vendors, and then the pro wrestling.
Okay.
So we just got pro wrestling tied in with this.
That's
as well.
cool.
And it's a pro wrestling school through Texas Entertainment Wrestling.
Okay.
They're local again. Just another guy that I've met in this small world of. I don't know if you remember Rob Hall from the Rob Hall Classic that we would do at Tension. Well, Rob Hall's now wrestling.
Oh, really?
And his name's Brick Savage now. And
okay.
Again, this is just one of those opportunities of taking somebody that is kind of used all of these sports and his size and his body type, or looking for it in this kind of natural cycle of, hey, let me try all of this stuff. Yeah. And now he's found himself in the wrestling ring, and it seems like a great fit for him. Cool. And that's also awesome to see too, because guess what? All of these kids that are powerlifting out here are doing strongman, and they have all of this size. And there's another guy that's come to the heavy metal now, and he's just an ex-football player, and like his potential to grow with Austin and these guys is going to be phenomenal. But what if he didn't do that and he decided to go into pro wrestling?
Yeah.
There's just that opportunity to show people that it doesn't end. It doesn't end if you don't make it into college football. It doesn't end if you don't make it into college sport. It doesn't even end if you don't make it into the NFL. You got guys like Ray Williams that are out there, and Julius from that's benching. You got all of these guys here in Texas that that might not have made it into the NFL or made it big in those other sports, but they're out here doing phenomenal things. And then these are people locally. These are people you can talk to and see and visually see and have an opportunity to go train with them.
What's funny is it, I think one thing that we secretly ignore is like, you spend your life in high school being competitive, right? And then some people go to college to play sports. Some people don't. Most people don't. You have people that go into the military, and it's something that we don't really realize till it's already passed. But we kind of take that camaraderie for granted, right? That being on a team, when you're in school, that being on a team when you're in the military or going to college. And then when those things come to an end, it's like you've still got a lot of life left in you. But you start to miss that camaraderie, and you miss that avenue to compete. And for most people that I know of, because again, I don't know half the stuff, that I probably should know. It was always softball, right? Everybody went to softball. Everybody plays. You had your camaraderie there. You had your your competitions. And then after a while, it's like, okay, well, my knees hurt, things of like that nature hurt. And so you start losing those things, but it bums you out that you're missing that ability to compete and have friends that you're tight with. And so when we were talking earlier about Rob, I see him with Nick, and I see him with Austin, and they're all a little goofy, but they're highly competitive. And I watch them on social media and see the things they post, and you see that camaraderie building, and you're like, well, this is something that can last for many, many years, and it's nice to be able to have an outlet. And when you're talking about, you're putting on this expo, and I love how excited you get about it, because I'm just listening to you and I'm getting excited. I can't wait for it. But it's like people get to come to this thing, be entertained, see some cool stuff that they didn't probably even know existed, interact, meet, learn new things, and it starts to expose them to those things. And you start, like everybody else, man, you start working, you get tired, you're out of shape, and I can't go run softball, or there's no place for me to play football. These are all the sports that you're familiar with, but to be able to be exposed to something that you can do at a young age and even at an older age, maybe there's different levels of competition, but you can still be a part of it, and you can still be part of that community. Because like you were talking about earlier with all the gyms that interact with each other, I always kind of, when I was younger, I always thought, man, these gyms must hate each other, because it was so financially competitive. You had all the major, massive brands, but you see these local gyms that are popping up, like in New Braunfels, San Antonio, and then I see each other posting things, and they're going to events, they're seeing each other, and it's this community, and I think it's awesome that that's what you're building here, man. You're building a community, that these parts exist, but there's no place for them to come together and really have a chance to show out, a chance to let everybody know, hey, we're here, this is what we do, and there's room for you,
It's the opportunities that are here. That's really what the main goal is I want to give everybody the opportunity to find it for themselves, find it for exactly what you were talking about. And one of the main reasons why I really wanted to sit down and have me explain this, because it's something that we never talked about, and you just said it, and I should have. I spent our last night, I hung out with all my friends from high school. It was one of our buddy's daughter's 18th birthday. These are friends that I went to high school with, we played football with, our kids are around the same age, and I am very fortunate. And I know a lot of people are that. I know you are, because I see your post all the time, and you have the same friends. That community of friends that you talk to, not everybody has that.
Yeah.
And I lost that for a while when I went into the military, but then I had another group of people that I kind of were that commodity, that I could fall into, my community. And I think that's just how I am. I will find a community, and I will attach myself, nurture whatever I'm in, support whatever it is. And I think that's kind of what helps me with dealing with my PTSD, or with my physical ailments, or with my process, to help me get through it. So this is just that opportunity to show other people, hey, we can kind of learn this, and this is only one way.
Yeah.
But there's all of these other opportunities, other ways you can do it, but this is just one way that I want to show you. But for the purpose of what you just said, and I have, because I experienced as a kid, I'm experiencing it now with my son. I'm experiencing it when I get to talk to athletes, and even my other son is, when we graduate, my son has been playing football, since he was like 4 or 5 years old, and even my older son that's now in the military, and they've always been, I guess, on the starting team. They were, kind of the stronger kids. They have had this community practice every single day, games on the weekends, just friends that are tied into football. Graduate, boom, that's gone.
Yeah,
that is gone, unless they move on to another sport, or unless they find some type of community. We just let these kids go, and
it's literally a switch. I mean, it's literally overnight you're done.
You're done.
And you're out,
And I don't, as a parent, I think, and as a coach, as high school coaches, we pump them, go, you're going to make it if you don't do this at college. But then once that's it, hey, and understandably, they got to focus on the next group of people. But that was my leadership, you know, that was my direction. And I see that now, that gap for my son. And I see that as I talk to some of the kids that just graduated. And then you find out some kids that don't even want to play football. They never wanted to play football. I feel sometimes maybe some of my boys are like that. You know, I'm not want to play college, you know, but they stay in it because of their friends. They stay in it because of the camaraderie that they built in it. Yeah. They stay in it because, like the same thing that we have in the military, it's just a fight for each other. Those guys are going through that process with you, and you pretty much, you'll do anything. You kind of like sacrifice yourself for that group of people. So you take that all away. You know, and then you add on top of that, you add COVID, and you add all of the political stuff, and you add literally all this outside noise, but we took away the things that they had to deal with it. We took away the football that they could use, they could take out those emotions with in a positive way. We took away those coaches that, hey, if you are doing this and you're acting like this and you're having a tantrum, and because that's what feelings are to me. They're tantrums, right? Oh, this makes me sad. It's whatever.
I was raised the same way, man.
You know, and if we don't teach them, or we don't have them, they don't have us to give that direction or hold them accountable anymore, then you just have kids that are walking out there. Not everybody has parents to talk to. Not everybody has people that'll give them directions. And I don't always believe that, you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. No, there's people there that help you, whether you notice it or not. There's people giving you opportunity. There's people directing you. And I have been fortunate my whole life to have that kind of great leadership, great friends and parents and people involved. And if you don't, then man, how are we gonna get you to that point? Or how can we give you somebody that help push me to get to those jobs, or help push me to want to start something like this, or do these type of sports? So rather than have these kids walk around for the next 3 or 4 years and not know what to do, and they're not going to know what to do in life because they don't know what, you know, I still don't know what to do when I grow up, you know. So you add that on top of it. Where's the tool to learn how to deal with that stress? You know, where's something, and that's what this is. That's what
to me that's the importance of athletics. You know, athletics is this small little
school.
It's a school. It's a community. It's a habit. It's a little microcosm of life, right? And it's an opportunity to where you can work hard and you can succeed or fail, right? And it's the good thing about it is then once you're done, you go and you start to work at it again, and then you succeed or fail. And it gives you these opportunities to learn to fail, learn to succeed, and learn to work, you know. And it happens through athletics. It happens when you're younger. To me, everybody should go through some sort of athletics at some point in their life. It should continue through the entirety of your life, but at least at some point in your life. Because the importance of being in athletics of any kind is it teaches you how to fail and to continue working. You know, when you don't have that, you have people that enter the world and they don't have that ability to cope with failure, you know, and to continue to work hard, you know. And I always half joke with people when I say either you can teach your kids or the world will teach your kids. And you don't want the world teaching your kids, because when they make a mistake in the world, the ramifications are a lot more drastic than when you're teaching them and you're basically guiding them through that failure. They can get through it a lot easier. But when they lose their job, or they pop off to somebody in the street or whatever, they don't learn, hey, I need to just keep my mouth shut, or hey, I failed, but that's okay, I can keep going. You know, people, and then when we had the coronavirus, where everybody was locked up, we're not socializing. That's why I'm excited about this, man.
It is. It's to me, it's just the timing of it. It's the right timing of it. It's the perfect opportunity that even the gyms themselves, as they're growing, it's the perfect timing for them to get them involved as well. And as their athletes are growing and they've developed people to teach other people now, it's the perfect timing for it.
And I tell you what, man, I think it's the perfect location. You know, not to get into San Antonio's politics, man, but I will tell you this: San Antonio is a tight community, and it's very interesting because I haven't lived in a whole lot of places, but I don't see that tightness like you do in other large cities. You know, they surround their teams, whether it's the Missions or the Spurs or whoever it may be. You know, you've got the Fiesta. San Antonio comes together for San Antonio. And that's one thing I can say is amazing about the city. You know, you've got your large military community, you know, but people, even people that aren't in the military, they love San Antonio stuff. You know, it's just like being from Texas. You love everything Texas. You know, when you're from San Antonio, you love everything San Antonio, which is pretty cool, man. I think it's a great place to do this.
And that, you know, to have, you know, I said it earlier, you know, it's a celebration of food that we have, like Fiesta. We have, and this is awesome. Like if you want to taste the different types of foods that we have here, like in Texas, just go to any festival here, whether it's Oktoberfest, whether it's Fiesta, whether it's whatever. We celebrate food, and it's, you know, that's one of the great things about San Antonio. And then we have our drinking available. You know, you like to go party. We have the nighttime festivals. We have all of that. And then we have our rock and runs and, you know, all these other different types of just activities to bring together. This is just another one to add to it, you know.
And it's very different, man. It's very different. It's very new. You know, like you said, you've got your runs and you've got your party festivities. There's multiples of those, but this is a rare thing, man. It's very it's a first of its kind. So
it's just another way to give you, you know, not to go into the psychology of sports or, you know, too much, but this is to give people accountability when they might not have it. That's what training is.
Yeah.
You know, where you find out your weaknesses for you in whatever sport you're going to. Are you weak in the squat? Are you bench? Are you weak in your legs? Whatever. And you come up with a plan, most likely with a coach. But you can do this all on your own, you know. And then you come up with a plan. You figure out what your weaknesses are. And then you keep training for that. And you do that, you know, for periods at a time. And then you come back and you test after a certain period of time. And then you reassess, and then you keep that same process. And then, so ultimately, for the purpose of you're going to have a test, you have a competition. So for most people, you know, compete 2 or 3 times a year. You have, you know, anywhere from 3 to 6 months in between competitions, depending on what you're doing. And then you're held accountable.
Yeah.
There you have immediate feedback. Were you BSing the whole time? Were you on it? Did life affect you in a certain way, you know, or maybe you just weren't in it enough. And you can see that immediate feedback where you might not have it in a relationship, where you might not have it because you're not going to school or you're not going where you want to in your job. In competition, in that training, you have control of that. You can really change what your end result is, you know. And granted, somebody can come out there and beat your numbers or whatever. But competition really is about you, because if you beat your last time, if you beat your last total, or if you beat the last team, whatever it is, you have some kind of success to judge yourself off of.
Some feedback on that.
And some feedback.
And you may find out that you did everything right.
Oh, right.
And you are the shit.
Right. Yeah. and guess what?
Yeah.
You just take that template, and that's life. You know, that is life. If you want to learn how to deal with stress, get out there in front of the TV and have to turn it on. No music, no nothing. It's just you out there. That's the same kind of stress that you do when you're out here driving a car. You're out here, somebody cuts you off. You're so mad. You're throwing a tantrum. You're screaming and getting everybody else all wrapped up. Guess what? That same type of focus to control, to be able to do that, is what you need in competition.
Yeah.
It's just how you perceive it, what you're going through, that process that you're going through. If you really perceive that this is about learning about you, because when you compete and you're for these competitions, you have no other choice but to focus on yourself, focus on your weaknesses, focus on what you need to do to fix those weaknesses, focus on the timeline that you have. You know, that's all you're asking to be a little selfish for the purpose of fixing you physically, fixing you mentally, whatever the reason you're doing this for, that you have control of that now. You have full control of that. You can have whatever medical issue, you can have whatever kind of adaptive issue that you have, or whatever mental issue or money issue. But in
Talk about that adaptive part again.
Oh, yes.
Because that's one thing that I learned just being in terrible shape was, when I would train with Tim, I never realized. I always kind of felt like, man, I can't do what so and so's doing over there, But I learned the word adaptive, and that was something that kind of changed my life, because it was like, okay, you know what? I may not necessarily be able to do what I did when I was 22,
right,
but I can do something similar, and I can do something that may generate a similar result. And so, explain adaptive stuff a little bit.
Well, so in adaptive, of course, you have that you can adapt any of the exercises into what we do. But when I say adaptive and adaptive sports, I'm talking about the sports that when you have some type of limitation, loss of limb, short stature, or some kind of physical ailment, that there has to be an adaptation to what the able-bodied person is doing in their sports. So for me, for instance, I was competing in adaptive bench. When I mean, it's still bad, but maybe not as bad as it was before. My leg issues were I couldn't have no leg drive, and I thought I was going to lose my leg. And I'm still that leg salvage type of guy. But how am I going to continue doing mentally for myself what I was doing, and then physically? Because the gym is how I fix my mental stuff, and that's why the whole point of the event. Yeah. This is how I deal with it, and maybe you should try this kind of therapies. The goal.
Yeah.
So when you don't want to stop, I don't know how to stop. I don't think I'm ever meant to stop. I don't, and sometimes that means sacrificing your emotions. And what I mean by that is, we always say, fuck your feelings. But when I say that, I'm talking about my feelings. I'm talking about, my sadness and my depression and my pain that I go through. If my goal is this competition, screw all of the rest of that. I can get through that. And when I learn to push myself for this stress that I can control, because I can control if I'm going to go to the gym. I can control how hard I'm going to push myself. And if I allow my depression, or if I allow my pain, or if I allow any of that to get in the way of that, well, then of course it's going to have an effect. But it's learning to not even care about any of that.
Yeah.
To really, really find out something about yourself, and you're like, I can do this without this wall of emotion that I built for myself, this hurdle that is just from emotion, it's just from fear, it's from wanting to take that easy route, because it's easier to feel sad. It's easier to be like, oh, I'm in pain. It's easier to not want to do any of that. But for me, it's realizing that screw your emotions. Like, we can get past that. You can do it, and you can still do it sad. You know what? You can do it, and you can still do it in pain. And ultimately, when you go through that process, as much as it sucks, you learn something about yourself, and you just calloused yourself mentally, which is the same thing we're trying to do physically. We're trying to tear down a little bit, build up, tear down. And I'm not saying that mentally you're going to tear yourself down, but you're going to put yourself through it. You're going to want to quit. You should want to force yourself to want to quit. You should want to force yourself to be in those uncomfortable situations, because just like it builds physically, it builds for you mentally. You hear these crazy guys, I don't want to say crazy guys, but you hear these guys, these motivational speakers that people are like, oh, this guy's just crazy, like David Goggins, and they talk about callousing yourself and callousing your, just in life, mentally, that's it.
Yeah.
That's just it. If you put your feelings aside, if you put your it's okay to go through it sad. There's nothing wrong with being sad. There's nothing wrong with, or it's not normal. It is normal to be sad. It is normal to be depressed, because that could be chemical imbalances that we have. You could be low in vitamin D. You could be having a hangover. Sure. You can have low in some type of hormonal issues. You know, whatever it is, there's so much that affects your mental state that forget all that. You know what I mean? Do it sad, because that feeling is not necessarily going to stop you. There's nothing physically that comes from your emotion that's going to stop you. If you're like, oh, I'm so sad, I can't do it. Is it? Is it that much? Or are we not brave enough to go through the fire? That's just the way that I see it. That's just my opinion for me.
Yeah.
That if you know the story, you know the in and the outs of the hospital, and then you add the PTSD and the struggles with dealing with all of that, and having like my son, like all of these other kids, and that was the other part that I was going to talk to, all these other veterans that get out, veterans that just get out to the military period. They're in that same boat as my son. They have this life, they have accountability, they have their group of people in their community. Then either they get pushed out of the military or they retire. Mm-hmm. When you're not ready to retire, so they go through that same thing. And that happened to me. So where you don't want people to reach that point. Yeah. You don't want people.
You want to have some sort of transition for them.
For them, because if people are feeling the way you did, man, not everybody has a support system to get through that. And that's what we have now. We lose ourselves in alcohol, we lose ourselves in drugs, we lose ourselves in pretty much every self-destructive way, just because that's how we deal with it. I'm supposed to feel this sad, I'm supposed to do this, and until you get tired of that, until you hit, I don't want to say rock bottom, but until you get tired of feeling like that, until you get tired of, like, man, this sucks. I want to look for a way out of this.
The scary thing about those feelings, those kind of thoughts, when you come out of, whether it's PTSD or whether it's just depression or whether it's just a lack of being physical, is, this sounds kind of weird to say, but at a certain point, there's some comfort in that negativity.
Yes.
And if you don't allow yourself to find an outlet or an option for it, it gets real bad, because it's just like, it's like everything else. When you get comfortable in being comfortable,
right,
eventually you become uncomfortable.
Right.
And that's the scary part. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, misery does love company. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to avoid. When we get to that point, when you have people doing this, and we're in this time frame of COVID, or the economy, elections, we have all of this out, and not everybody has PTSD in the sense of combat PTSD. Sure. We have sexual trauma PTSD. We have PTSD from car accidents. If you got robbed or whatever you're dealing with in life, or the loss of your family because of COVID, or the loss of your home because of the shutdown of everything. People have trauma, and I think when, especially as a veteran, you get past the fact that everybody's trauma affects you the same way, even though it's a different scenario. Yeah. Trauma is trauma. And if you're not brought up with the tools how to deal with that trauma, guess what? It is going to affect you. And people are like, oh, I'm tough. And then we find ourselves drinking. And then we find ourselves, at the end of that barrel. For what reason? For just not wanting to try to fix ourselves, to not wanting to want to take yourself out of that feeling. Because I know what it is. You're absolutely right. We get comfortable in that hole, and it's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Like, oh man. But because we forgot that was the process. Yeah. It was the process that was getting us through it, and it sometimes it's okay to take a knee, and it's okay to not okay, but it's understandable that we have these pauses in our life, and we're like, man, I don't do this shit anymore. This sucks. But it's because we start to surround people that are allowing us to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, once you start being around everybody else and you start having people have accountability and people want to have progress, then we start having those conversations. And versus of like, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. It's more like, hey, you want to go try this with me? You know, you want to try this with us? This is working. You know, if you want to come along, come along. If not, you know what? I know of this other place to do that. And that's the people that I have found. I have found people that, whether they know it or not, they're guiding people. They're able to build these opportunities so people can help themselves. You know, that's what this is. This is not, hey, I'm bringing to the coaches, so these people are going to coach you forever. They're going to take your money forever. You know, we've given you a cult. You know, you need these people to survive. No, these people have the tools. They want to show you a tool that you can develop for yourself. And this just happens to be a community that you can just pick out the different tools that you want for your toolbox. And these are the different organizations that can support it. And you can find these tools. And if you can't afford it, guess what? There's all these other organizations that you might fit into. Their nonprofits that can help you out with that. Or guess what? We have the military and law enforcement, and those are two huge communities.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You can come out, watch a show, and probably leave with a job.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely right.
So that's pretty cool too. You know, I want to touch a little bit on like the you know, we talked about adaptiveness, but even on the physical side of adaptation, I guess, is you know, what people don't realize is even if you're wounded, if you're you know, missing a limb, you know, there's all kinds of avenues too. You know, there's Paralympics. You know, one thing that I found that was super interesting was going back to the guys from heavy metal was when Nick cut his arm, he didn't want to stop training. And so Austin bought him this strap that goes across his shoulders so he can continue to deadlift. And it's like there's all kinds of physical adaptations too that people may not be aware of, even including the sports, but there's physical adaptations to these sports that still will allow people to compete at some level. So that's pretty cool too.
And that I meant to, I always do that. I veered off track.
No, I do it too, man.
And going back to the adaptive part, you know, the other nonprofit that a recipient of the money that we'll be raising will be STRAPS, the South Texas Regional Adaptive Paralympic Sports. And they're out of Morgan's Wonderland as well. So, you know, through Wounded Warrior Project and while I was at the Warrior Transition Unit, you know, spent a lot of time in the hospital, and then this is the recovery time. And this is where changed my mindset of just life in general. Because when I was feeling sorry for myself and I had my large intestine removed, and I literally went from military nationals here in San Antonio, I think I won second at that meet. And then 6 days later, I had my intestine removed. And then I lost like 90 pounds within a month. I went from 240 to 150. You know, just like anybody else would, naturally, you start feeling down and you're just like, whatever. You know, this sucks and, you know, woe is me type of thing. And then I saw guys out there with double amputation, triple amputation, burns, cancer, you know, whatever. And they're not stopping.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, what? Who am I? Who am I to, excuse me.
Yeah.
Who am I to limit myself?
Yeah.
You know, when people are out there doing it and they have a lot less and probably gonna have a lot less. Excuse me. Or whatever I perceive it as. You know. So when you get to see that, that push, that is amazing, and that turns your mindset around. And then when I started, we can edit some of this out too.
Sure. Well, you know what's interesting to me is like we have, and I don't. It may be an accumulation of things. It may be. It may be a rarity. I don't know what it is, but you know, we've had you know, veterans from many wars, but World War II, Korea, Vietnam, you know, and when you see it in movies or when you go to the VA, you know, and granted, I'm too young to have seen these guys immediately after their service, you know, but even you know, Iraq, people come back and they're injured, and it was always kind of like, well, what's the best life this person can live? These new guys, it's fucking crazy. And I don't know if there's better prosthetics. I don't know if technology's better. I don't know if they're just wild as hell. But it's like you see these guys fucking everywhere. Yeah. And they're climbing mountains, they're running things, they're lifting things, they're hunting, they're fishing. It's unbelievable because it's like zero quit. It's like no stop. You know, they've adapted themselves to whatever situation they have now, and they're ready to go. You know, and it's amazing to see. Like, I follow a lot of these guys online, and it's amazing to see how many. Now, there's a bunch of people that don't go that route, but there's a lot of guys that just they reload, man, and they keep going. It's amazing.
I think what it is more, it's always been that, you know, there's always been those guys, especially that come from the military, and not saying that just in the military, but more so that I can personally speak of is everything that you're given, everything that you're trained with, that continue to drive, and whatever branch you're in and whatever job you're in, there's a big picture goal in that, you know, and when those people are doing that and they're taught that and they get out and they're dealing with their injuries, I think that's just it. You know, you continue with that mindset. There's just something that you take away, or some people take away from the military, that just kind of keeps you into a go. There is no option for what we would consider defeat. And now it's just more prevalent because we can see it. Yeah. You know, now we can actually show ourselves doing it. There's been this thing going on for years through the VA called the Valor Games. You know, it's Olympic style sports for veterans, and I saw Vietnam guys doing this a couple of years when I lived here in San Antonio.
That's cool.
And this is what they explained to me. This is how they deal with their issues, and that was the aha moment. You know, that was the aha moment that they found this, I'm doing this, and I've talked to other people that are doing this. And then as I'm doing this and learning this therapy for myself, I'm realizing that all these training facilities, who are ultimately are my friends as well, are allowing me or other people like me to do these things in their gyms and have people associated in these type of events. So it's just to bring them together and to show them, and then to have the mindset that the adaptive athlete, the athlete trying to go pro, and the everyday athlete, the military law enforcement guy that is, you know, trying out for those special jobs, all the mindset is the same. It's about growth, and it's about identifying your weaknesses. Whether you're adaptive or not, you still have some type of weakness that you have to fix. And, you know, you have to, like, the adaptation part of it, you know, for just like benching, everything that we learn as an able body, you just have to kind of change that for the adaptation for the bench example. And that's the amazing part of it. You know, that's the story, that's the math problem that you're trying to figure out, you know, because the sports are the same. You know, adaptive bench in the Paralympic sport and benching with your feet up, you know, as a training exercise, guess what? They're the same thing. They're requiring the same body movements, and you're just learning how the adaptive person, you know, benches, and that just happens to be a competition and / a way of training for able-bodied people. So, you know, that's just it. Is how can sports are all inclusive. You know, why should there be a way or time that you limit yourself of wanting to try something for whatever, or if you're born that way, you know, if you're born with some kind of medical issue that you cannot do able-bodied sports, well, then there's all of these other organizations, and Straps locally just happens to be one of those, and they hold a annual what is it called, the Texas, not the relays, oh my god, I can't remember, I forgot the name of it.
Google it.
Yeah, it's the
Google
Texas,
it so we don't forget.
It's the Texas Regional Games.
Oh, regional games.
Just Texas Regional Games. So they're Olympic style events, and this is, for kids and adults that compete in, the track style events, shot put, discus. Do have like wheelchair racing, wheelchair basketball,
and the Straps it's kind of like a league, isn't it? Like you sign up and you play these events.
It's they can get you to all of these events as well, and then they can get you to the training and the coaching to these events.
That's pretty cool.
And then there's funding to try to get certain equipment for people or for their athletes. So it's just getting them the exposure to know that there's this available, because parents won't know if you're working and you don't think like, oh, my kid's gonna want to try this, or want to do any of these sports for whatever reasons. We just go right back into the psychology of what sports offer a kid, whether it's an adaptive kid or whether it's whatever. You get to give them a controlled stress, and going back to talking why we play sports and that classroom of sports.
I like that, a controlled stress.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get into going back to this military law enforcement competition, if cops don't anybody doesn't get into that situation, I don't want to just say police officers or military personnel, but if you're not put into those situations where you have to think fast and your adrenaline's running, you're working with everybody and everybody's yelling at you, and that happens through competition. That's the closest that I feel you can get to, like either combat or a combat situation or a shootout or a house on fire or trying to save somebody's life. When else do you get to get that? So just being able to, because it is controlled and because you can control the stress that you're adding and the noises and that's how you get to learn the most about you, so you're prepared for that. And if you're a first responder and now you're able to control your emotions better than you were, because when you get your adrenaline going and you start shaking, it takes time to learn how not to shake.
Yeah.
It takes time. If you're that police officer and you have to draw your weapon and you're shaking, this controlled stress, you learn how to hone that in. So when you do draw your gun or you're in that situation, now you have a little bit more clarity, because that adrenaline is not taking over you. You control the stress, not the stress controlling the situations.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's why I feel we have all these issues that we have now, is people are thrown into stressful situations that they just don't know how to deal with them.
Yeah.
You throw a tantrum or a road rage and you go out and shoot somebody. Really?
There's a lot more of that these days.
Exactly. And it's not saying that this is the answer, but hey, we give you a tool, toolbox.
What's an avenue? Yeah, it's a tool in a toolbox. It's an avenue to learn something new, not only about yourself, but about how you can react under pressure and under certain training that you can use, and you to feel better about yourself and to be able to be more mobile and to be able to push yourself. Like we talked about, losing that competitive edge and losing that camaraderie to be in a controlled stress and suffer with a group and then be able to go compete. I mean, that's exhilarating, man. So let's go back to October 8th.
Yeah.
And what's the location again?
October 8th, Mission Conception Sports Complex. It's south of 90, Southtown downtown area. If you've ever heard of the Mission Conception, Mission Conception, which is an actual mission, not too far from there.
Okay.
724 Theo Avenue, I think is the actual address. But I'll make sure that I give you kind of all that information, and then the hyperlinks to all of our stuff as well.
Okay. And it starts. So if you're coming to watch, it starts at 9.
It starts at 9.
If you're coming to compete,
about 9:15.
Okay.
9:15, everything will start. We'll probably do presentation of the flag about 9 o'clock. If you're coming to compete, of course, those times might change from different sports, weigh-ins, and stuff like that. And everything can be found on our website, which also has the hyperlinks for every single registration for the individual sports.
Okay.
But 9 to 9 is the window that we have for the actual competition or the event itself.
And I was going to say, as far as like registering, what are your cutoff times? Like, is there? You said some of them are the day of or the day before, right?
The two that are the day of, or I guess day or day before, would be the push-pull event and then the cornhole and kickball tournaments.
Okay.
The Battle of the Badges, just because it's a team event and they get no space, I think that'll shut off next week or the week before.
Okay.
Powerlifting, as far as I'm understanding it, he has sold out. So they had a wait list.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And he broke it down into 2 sessions now. As a matter of fact, I think he just sent out the email. So I don't think they are opening it up to anymore. But because of the numbers, they're able to break it down to 2 different sessions, and a female session in the morning and a male session in the later part of the afternoon. So then those times will be like weigh-ins at a certain time, and the start time will be like 9:15 for the women, and then like I think it's 3:00 for the men. Strongman will start around 9:15, 9:30, and then they'll just run through their events. The other 2 things that are starting later will be the pro wrestling will not start until about 5:00.
Okay.
And then the push-pull will also start a little bit later in the morning or early afternoon to give everybody else the opportunity.
Okay.
To try to compete as well.
And so, like, if you wanted to compete, like in the cornhole, what is it? A 2-person team?
The cornhole, I think it is a 2-person team. The kickball is a 8 to 10 team. I do not know the prices for entry on those.
Is there age limit on either one of those?
No, I just, as I was driving in, there was a kid emailing me, and he looked like a high school kid. I didn't see when I went to their website. Let me make sure, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Because if I was playing kickball and there was a 6-year-old out there, I'd kick him in the face, Rene. And get to second base.
Oh, yeah, these guys, I don't know where it's at. I don't think he has it. Yeah, I don't see an age limit on his.
Okay.
But I'm going to...
but you want to be smart. You don't bring little kid out there. So.
Yeah, you don't want to bring little kids out there. But I do like the idea of, because this is kickball, is kind of anybody can play at any age together. I kind of like the idea of, we don't do stuff with our family anymore.
Yeah.
You want to talk about having family fun, come out for kickball, even though... I know me and my kids will probably be yelling at each other all the time because everybody's competitive.
Not my family,
my friends
Rene.
too, yeah.
Ain't nothing family friendly in my family.
Yeah. Uno and I definitely get a little crazy.
Well, man, I'm super excited about this. I can't wait. I was talking to Tim. I think we're going to help him load some stuff over there the day before or something like that. But, man, I can't wait. I'm excited for you. I hope everybody comes out. I think it sounds great that you've already sold out the strong or the powerlifting stuff. So I mean, just getting. I think this is open to everybody, like you said. There's that rookie entry level. But at the same time, if you just want to participate in the cornhole with your family, or you want to participate in the kickball, check out some cool stuff. Check out some good events, and see some, I guess, vendors that you guys are going to have out there. And pick up a job application.
Yeah. A little bit of everything for everybody, I guess, And this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We look to grow this every year. We look to bring in those sponsors, and that's the other part of this. This doesn't happen as of right now. This is just me doing it because I wanted to get this spark done. I wanted to get that interest.
We talked about it a couple years back when we did our first podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. This has been in the plan for. I didn't want to do this. I honestly didn't want to be the guy that was putting this all together. I wanted to be the behind the scenes guy to help because everybody has these other platforms that whether it's your gym or your pro status or whatever, that I kind of wanted to help guide this. But in this, I have a little bit more control and to being able to help people out the way that I want to, and the way that I see. And in saying that, as we grow, we really could use help from the community and the businesses in our community and those larger sponsorships. definitely understanding that because this was the first one, that was, the issues. People didn't see this as a way that they could get anything back from it because we're smaller.
Sure.
The LLC that I started, just was started for this event. Ultimately that's just supposed to be a gym.
Yeah.
Couldn't stay out of the hospital, so I figured if anything happens to me from now into the event, it's literally all on paper. I run everything, just like the military. If anything happens to me, bam, somebody can take this, and it's all on paper. So just having the opportunity to help out a lot of people that I've wanted to. I've done a lot of volunteering for different nonprofits. Now I can just bring the nonprofits and bring people to them. All these gyms that I've had the opportunity to train at and train with their communities. Now I can bring other customers or potential customers to see what they're doing and see the communities that they're building, and then just have the opportunity to give people, when I see that they're missing something, they're kind of walking around looking for some kind of guidance, and before that guidance that they get is from something negative, because there's people that prey on that. There's people,
There really are.
I don't want to get attacked by QAnon or anybody, but there's people that find themselves in those worlds and this mindset and these extreme ways of thinking is because we're looking for some type of direction, looking for some type of community. And I'll tell you, that's why I like these communities. Is we talk about politics and we talk about sports and we talk about religion and all the things you're not supposed to talk about. But guess what? At these places, we're still growing. We're still friends. And granted, we have our disagreements and we have everything, that there's a bigger goal and a bigger picture. And that is, to me, what draws me into these type of places. And I talked about it earlier. You get this algorithm on your phone that just dictates on what you're gonna see and what you're gonna hear, and because your Google searches and your interests. But that algorithm of life that draws us into these people, into these communities, and to wanting to be a part of their successes and help them grow, and to find the growth for yourself. That's kind of the algorithm of life that I want to show people. Because once you feel it, once you're bit by it, man, that's it. I say that about heavy metal all the time. I was like, there's no way I can explain it to you until you go in on a good night and you see people support each other, or you go to the powerlifting meets that they have and you see that
Monday night at Heavy Metal Fitness. It's bananas, man. I've seen them out there. I've seen the posts.
Yeah.
I told my wife the other day, one of the guys had posted Monday night, and I told her, I said, it looks like a friggin' nightclub, man. There's so many people there, the music's playing, and everybody's getting after it. I was like, it's crazy.
And the thing about that is there's other places that are doing the exact same thing, and they have that exact same kind of atmosphere to it, and even they don't get to know about each other because those gym owners are so invested into their athletes.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, you don't have the time to go to gym to go check out all these places and understand that the athletes that are going to the same places and they're jumping from gym to gym because they're taking away the things that they need for them to grow as an athlete from their communities. So a lot of these, I feel like a lot of these gym owners and a lot of people that are invited, into this event, they really don't know too much about each other and how much of they're on the same page than they know about.
Yeah.
And this just is, because I consider these people my friends. This is just that opportunity, and to see them and they're all talking. We had a meeting the other day, and to see them kind of talking. And you said it before, where some gyms you might think that it's like this, everybody's in competition with each other and whatever. I get to see them like, oh man, this is going to turn into something, and they're getting excited about it too, and the plans for doing this next year, and how can we make this grow, and how can we bring more people into this. That hunger that they have is what you want to be around. You know, if you're looking for leadership, if you're looking for guidance, that's the hunger that you should be around. You don't want the complacency, like, we're good enough. If they're wanting to grow. They're wanting to grow their business. They're wanting to grow their sport. They're wanting to grow their athletes and their coaches to make more athletes. So to be a part of their growth and to be a part of being able to have them grow together and to think of this as a community versus just as a cliques that we have out there. Powerlifting, strongman, whatever.
Yeah.
Guess what? You know, every time I go to these competitions, the same people, the same strongmen that I see, the same powerlifters that I see, the same CrossFitters that I see. We just all go to all these different competitions, and I think once you get past that title, you know, if you just consider yourself an athlete, then I'm willing to do anything because that's the way you should be in life.
Yeah.
You know, you should be able to do anything. I don't want to be just. I want to be a Renaissance athlete.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know you didn't intend for this to turn out this way, but I will tell you, be ready to be the face of health and fitness expos in San Antonio, Rene.
That's not the face.
We're going to see your mug on those 281 and I-10 electronic billboards.
No, I'm going to have to do a digital CGI, what I should look like from a...
Well, one other thing I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned it a little bit. What is... Did you say there's going to be some nonprofits that benefit from proceeds, or how's that going to?
So I'm glad you said that. What we are in need of is donation items.
Okay.
You know, so and I'm looking for something more, I would think more sports related. So whether it's your ice chest, tents. Certificates to certain equipment or to certain businesses, and what those donations will do, those will be raffled off, and the money that we earn from raffling will go into these two nonprofits.
Okay.
Hero Sports, and that happens to be Straps and Hero Sports for this year. I want to pick two different nonprofits, preferably sports related, so we can keep that theme going, and to give money back into those that are using, like I said, this vehicle of competition as a way to deal with whatever they're trying to deal with for their athletes. To continue with that. So, you know, vendors that need exposure, you know, even for businesses like the movies, you know, we could use some tickets to give away or whatever that we could do as a family package or something that right now, with everything financially going on, not everybody's going to prioritize some of this gym equipment, some restaurants, SeaWorld passes. You know, everybody's, I don't want to say everybody, but I would think that the priorities for people now aren't going to be the things that we would normally want. You know, we're having to tighten the belt a little bit more. So I want to give that opportunity. You know, if you bring out, if we have somebody donates a nice egg, you know, smoking, or you know, just
load
being
it up.
silly.
We'll load it up before you leave.
Just being silly. You know, that gives somebody else opportunity to win that.
Yeah.
You know, and then that product gets out there. But to me, that's just opportunity.
So if people want to donate, do they need to go through your website, or is there some way they can contact you?
They can go through the website. My email's on the website.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how it shows up on the post, but if I give you, I think all of my hyperlinks that can be that they can see at the bottom of the YouTube.
Okay.
I'll put that on there as well, which is, you know, the volunteering parts, what we need people for, the actual website that has the times, the registrations, to everything, and then the ticket itself, where you could buy the ticket. And then also have on the website, it'll have information about the two nonprofits, and then there's a community portion of that website where all the businesses, you know, like yours, that are associated with us, there's a hyperlink to your business as well, and then there's some community flyers of other sports going on, and then community flyers of other events from some of these nonprofits that they have going on. And then you'll also be able to find small descriptions of local nonprofits that are in the area, and and not just nonprofits, but other supporting organizations and their hyperlinks that are here available. And some of them are sports related. So if you're looking to get exposure, if you're looking to donate, or if you're just looking for any more information, you could reach me out on the battleatthealamocity.com website, or my email address is rene.m@thebattleatthealamocity.com.
Awesome, man.
And then I'll have those hyperlinks there for you. That way people can ask those questions. We did drop the price for vendor booths. I'm gonna post that this afternoon. There's a couple of different vendor pages that are out there. So for those vendors that are looking for more exposure, we're thinking about 200 to 300 athletes and maybe about 1,000 to 1,200 people.
That's awesome.
So you got people coming through, and if your vendors are out there looking for some exposure, we have the space and the room for it. If you're a sport organization that and I'm not talking about individual teams, but like Taifa, Pop Warner, any of those kind of organizations, I also donate to you guys, so that way we have representation from all sports as well.
That's cool.
I want to be able to give those opportunities, because I didn't know about how many leagues that there are in here, and then especially if in basketball and volleyball and in cheer, you have all of these other smaller organizations that are out there. This is that opportunity. So if you want to get that exposure out there, this is just an opportunity, because this is all sports inclusive. And the same thing for any other businesses that just want to be involved and show the growth of these type of events, of community building events. More than welcome to reach out to me, and we'll help you get whatever exposure you're looking for as well.
Man, I'm loving it. You know what? I like that you're doing this. I like the way you're doing this. One thing that kind of blows my mind is how people. It's so difficult to get people exposed to the masses, right? And to be able to have one central location where people can go, hey, I want to sponsor something, I want to have a booth, I want to participate, I want to put on something in the event, some place that people can go and learn about each other. I was telling you earlier, I did a podcast with, it's called Children's Rehabilitation Institute Telethon USA. Uh-huh. And I did that with them. They're right by Morgan's Wonderland the other day. And one thing that kind of blew my mind a little bit was I was talking to one of the ladies. She had gone to a seminar, and she talked about Morgan's Wonderland next door. And she said, Morgan's Wonderland is the biggest, special needs or accessible park on the planet. She said, everybody in the world knows about Morgan's Wonderland. And it blew my mind, because not even everybody in San Antonio knows about right. Morgan's Wonderland. So similar with you guys, and similar to all these other gyms and organizations, and like you talked about straps, and what was the Hero Sports. It's like, I've never heard of them before, but to be able to have a platform and have an area where they can all come together, and somebody who might be interested in something similar to that can go and turn themselves on to something that they didn't even know about. It's huge, man. It's huge.
That's exactly, that point is we talk about that those algorithms will not direct you to that. Yeah. Once we knock down that barrier of just the only information that we receive is through our phones, then you really get to see what's out there. You really get to, and just stepping outside of your comfort zone of getting outside, of getting into it. Because most people, I'm not going to lie, every time I bring this up, they're like, I'm not, what am I going to see all these big guys for? I'm never going to do any of that. Like, no, once you really get past that getting outside of your comfort zone and really wanting to learn something, and like I said, get out of your funk and get out of like, hey, I'm done with this COVID stuff. I'm done with this mental health fog that I'm in. I'm done with just feeling this way. I'm ready to get out there. This is just that opportunity, and man, I really can't wait. And I'm getting it. It's getting down to the wire. Like I said, 19 days out, which is awesome. Finally, finally, like you said, the couple years that we've talked about this gives me an opportunity to finally show. even for like Tim, you know, I said like, Tim, come on, let's throw competition. I've been bothering Tim for years to do competition, and this is just that opportunity to see, for him to see like, man, he's ready to be up there on the board. He's ready to be there, you know, hopefully maybe become Texas, you know, representative or state rep, you know, one of these years, or you know, just staying where he's at and developing these athletes. But to just like me to know that I can do this is just an opportunity to show, give my friends the opportunity to like, hey, this thing that you're building, let's grow it too.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of this. You know, this is just for us. There's plenty of gyms that didn't get involved because of timing. There's other organizations that didn't get involved because of timing, or they just didn't know about what this was because you don't know me, you never worked with me, or you've never seen my face before. So everybody else looking to do something, you know, we've done stuff with SAPD Careers, you know, where they're actually starting a community building event that might happen more than once a year, and it's running through their obstacle course, and you know, people possibly looking to join the police force. So they wanted to start something, and they reached out to me that wants to start something, or I reached out to them, you know, understanding that this is just another hungry group. So anybody else out there that wants to do these type of competitions, that wants to do these type of events, that wants to do something and maybe with just a different topic or a different a theme, or different type of nonprofit that you want to help out, or not another type of fundraising that you want to type out, I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm open. I'm ready to do this, and being kind of that veteran middleman that can
the face,
Rene. The face that has a little bit more maneuverability. You know, I think that's the one great thing about having an LLC versus I wanted to start a nonprofit, but then with nonprofit I think I was limited, and in working with some other nonprofits of people not wanting to work with each other. This is just my opportunity. I don't need a board. I don't need anybody. As far as the people that I bring into this community, that there's less red tape this way. So because of that, let's do it. You know, let's start giving more opportunities to San Antonio in a more physical fitness related. You know, let's throw more challenges at people. Let's give people the opportunity to learn something about themselves by testing themselves. You know, it's easy to say, go test yourself. But
what's the avenue?
Yeah, what's the avenue if you don't have the resources to do so?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to try to create those resources or have those available for you so you can test yourself out and so you can learn something about yourself and figure out, is this the type of therapy or way, approach of dealing with your whatever, you know, in life, then maybe it works for you.
Yeah.
You know, but at least trying it, or at least seeing it.
Battle at the Alamo City.
Battle at the Alamo City.
October 8th.
Mission Conception.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Be there.
Be there. Rene, I appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabe. This is a really big opportunity that you're helping me out with.
Man, anytime. I'm proud to.
And again, the feedback from people telling me about your podcast. Again, this is my opportunity to get to work with somebody with that mindset, you know, with that growth, with allowing people to have their opportunity. You know, that's kind of like a selfless sacrifice type of thing that I'm drawn to as well. You know, to see you to do this for other people, because that's what this is for. You know, you're helping me out and helping everybody else get their story out. And I know initially, you know, when you told your story of why you wanted to do this and having those recordings and having a way for people's voices to be captured, you know, forever, that is awesome. You know, that opportunity that you give people, and that's why I'm drawn to that. You know, that's why I reach back out to you, because I see the people that you're bringing on. I see that you get to give people that opportunity, and I love that. You know, you've had a family member of ours from my wife on here before. You know, and the two guys from the gym, and just the different kind of local leaders that you have. And that's kind of the other thing. There's just a lot of people that I've come across throughout here in San Antonio, here in Texas, that are phenomenal coaches. They're phenomenal leaders. They're phenomenal athletes, and they just go under the radar doing their thing, helping people out, and they're here, you know. And I wish they would go out grabbing more people and doing things. But I know they got their own lives. But just to know that they're here and to invite them to come in, invite them for other people to be around them, I couldn't pass up that opportunity. And that's what this expo is, you know. Same thing with the event host for the sports. These people, you just got to get them to them. You know, I got to get them into the training facilities. You got to get people around. Even the recruiters that I've been talking to, they just like literally everybody has this hunger and has this wanting to grow their community, and to have other people to try to have that experience and that feeling that I have. Because I'll tell you that becomes an issue, you know. Oh, what is this all for? You're in the military, like, oh man, we're out here dying, or whatever we say, you know. And sometimes that does affect you. You see whatever you see on the news, and it becomes like, man, were all these sacrifices worth anything? Was my dad's sacrifices? And, you know, I come from that military, you know, a family, and, you know, is it all worth it? When you meet these people, when you are able to combine all these people, that's when it's worth it. And that feeling is the goal of this. You know, how can I get people to feel that unity, you know, that common goal unity, and there's leaders in there, and there's people that will follow in there, you know. And for people that are looking for that type of path in life to help other people out, to kind of to help themselves out through other people's growth, that's what coaching is, you know, right? And I think that's why we fall into this, whether you're going to be an athlete, and then the natural progression of, you know, maybe I'm going to coach other people doing this, and then now I'm hosting an event, or I'm opening up a gym, and you see that happening now, you know. Whether I was an athlete, you know, you know, see these personal trainers that are out there, and then they become athletes, and then they, you know, like Tim, and then they open up a gym, and then they're the guys training the guys that are making it a pro, and then now he's training coaches that are having their own athletes make it into national and other events as well. So that natural progression of this life, and then seeing that all of these people are doing that natural progression, they're the ones that are. Is that the 1 minute?
I think that's that's the go. Come to your seat.
Yeah, but we're getting short of time. 1 minute.
I don't know what that was. Anyway, it was a little glitch or something.
But you know, that's just the goal, to get people into that. And I probably said that multiple times, but I really want to hit that nail on the
I think
head.
people need to hear it, man. And you know what's funny is, I think when people get involved, and you know, we spent 2 or 3 years not being involved, and I think once people start getting involved, there's gonna be some future leaders that they didn't even know they were leaders, you know, and they're gonna start, I guess, stepping up to the plate to reach their full potential, and it's gonna be because of stuff like this, man.
It's so hokey, and I love this dang saying, but you know, when you say it takes a village, it just sounds so hokey, because it'd be general for anything, you know. Yeah. It could be general for anything, but that's what we're finding out in finding and hosting this event and everything else.
No, just making sure we didn't lose power. Sorry, brother.
But you know, that's what it is. It's just taking the opportunity and being able to gather people and not just say it takes a village, but you know, volunteers are going to make this thing run. Yeah. These different training facilities are making this thing run. You know, it is not me. All I did was just got a facility, you know, I just help it organizing this. It's the community that's really building this. It's the vendors that are going to be the ones out there, you know, getting the exposure. It's the athletes that this is for, to get their audience, or to present themselves to their family and friends when they've never been able to do this.
That's cool. That's cool that you say it like that, because you know, it's when you say it like that, it sounds like it's not Rene's event, it's San Antonio's event.
It is not my event.
It's San Antonio's event for San Antonio, you know?
Yeah, this is absolutely not my event, you know.
You're the face, brother.
No, that's why I put a patch. You know, it is you go right back to the patch. You know, look at that. That's our city. You know, when you say remember the Alamo, that was the premises. The Alamo City. Yeah. You know, there's history that comes with that, and that's just the symbol for it. The symbol of, again, our process. You know, our path that you have to go through. There was a struggle in this thing that we remember the Alamo, you know, kind of a story that's behind that. That's life. Yeah. You know, it's life of taking that hit and getting back up. And guess what? It took the support of people to do that. And it took this Texan pride and whatever pride that we have when we say that we're in Alamo City. I think that's what it goes back down to. You know, our pride, and we say it, you know, all the time, like everything's bigger in Texas. It's time to show that. Sure. You know, it's time to show that this is Mill City, USA, and not just that there's military people, but that mindset that comes along with that, the families that come along with supporting that mindset, there's just all of these things that we've had pride in, but now we get to do it all at once. Yeah. You know, now we get to do it, all the strongman and all the powerlifters and all these athletes get to do it next to the people, the military people and the law enforcement people, and realize there's no difference. That the training and the mindset for that training and getting ready for these competitions and having that pride in yourself of torching yourself day in, day out to get to meet this goal, they all have the same mindset. They all have the same struggles of life and stopping their training, and then they all have the same opportunities to overcome those obstacles and learn how other people overcome those obstacles, whether it's in their training, whether it's in their life. And sports just happen to be the way to break down those barriers, to have those conversations. And then it just happens to be that hopefully some of those things carry over to life. And then, hey, this doesn't just affect me in sports. This affects me or I can translate this into life as well, and hopefully have some positive, positive things that actually come out of that. You know, this be a good thing. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you, brother. I'm looking forward to it.
Outstanding.
And everybody show up. Battle of the Alamo City.
Battle of the Alamo City, guys. This is our first. You know, let's keep it going. Let's keep it rocking. You know, this is like we said before. If you've ever met me and I've had this conversation, this is years
in the making.
And when there is an absence of something, let's create it. Yeah. This is that creation, and let's just continue to grow it. And I really look forward to it. There couldn't be a better place to do it than, like I said, in a city that has this type of pride. You know, somebody that almost beat UT. Hey, that city pride. Hey, we're all Texans, we're all UT fans, but definitely more UTSA. So that's the type of pride, that Spurs fan pride. You know, that's what I'm looking to bring into this.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited, and I'm excited for San Antonio.
Outstanding.
Appreciate you, Rene.
Thank you, Gabe. I really, really appreciate this.
And thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.